Aurora is in Trinidad because Port of Spain is one of the ports of call of the Carnival cruise she's on for her grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary. What she really wants to know is if the message on her cell phone is about the apartment she hopes to sublet in Paris this spring. What Aurora wants most in the world is to travel to her birthplace, Paris, France. John Smith is in Trinidad for the 37th annual Rare Bottle Cap Collecting Convention that has just begun. What John wants most in the world is to complete his never-ending bottle cap collecting. Carl's intention is always to be where the fun is, so when a bargain for a cruise to Trinidad flashed across his computer screen, he went for it, and he can feel it now, the way every single thing is turning out right on this adventure. What Carl wants most in the world is to share adventures with like-minded friends. Extreme skier Chip Torino is in Trinidad for the surfing, though he'll be heading south at the end of the week to hit the backcountry in Argentina. Skiing is his life, which is otherwise defined by beer, Red Bull, and frequent and meaningless relationships with women. What Chip wants most in the world is beer and a couple more Red Bulls. The bathysphere is on the deck of the Bon Bon Bar in Port of Spain, Trinidad, on the waterfront. It's used during the day to take tourists on underwater tours of the harbor and goes to 1,000 feet below the surface. At night it stands empty, though never locked, and it looks like Aurora's best shot for a quiet moment, so she climbs in, long arms and legs folding like a grasshopper's. She's trying to check her message when she realizes the heel of her shoe has gotten stuck in the metal grating on the floor. "Can someone help me?" Aurora yells, her breathy voice echoing around the metal globe. Chip hears her yelling above the ruckus laughter around him in the bar and punches the guy next to him in the shoulder. Sounds like a party in that thing, bro. You win?" Carl is always up for anything that leaves him with a good story to tell, and today is turning out better than he could have ever hoped. "Sure," he says, trying to sound casual. "I'm actually a licensed bathysphere operator." He is also a licensed rickshaw driver, a professional curling skip, and a cigar boat mechanic. John cannot believe his ears. It is a dream come true, all of it. Attending the convention, meeting the gentleman earlier who tipped him off, and now this.
"You are?"
He says, poking his head up from under the table where he is on his hands and knees, despite the fact that the floor is sticky. No bottle cap should ever go to waste if he can help it. It occurs to him that he must explain himself, so he crawls out and stands upright, his fingers curling happily around the 9,998th bottle cap that he's found since he started collecting when he was 7, and says,
"Well, I asked because a guy just told me there is a yacht in the harbor with a bottle of the end of history beer on board, and..."
"Huh?" Chip says, only moderately surprised that John's head has appeared from beneath his table.
"It's amazing. It's a $1,070 bottle by Brewdog, and it's the world's most expensive bottle of beer. It's served in the taxidermy body of a squirrel, by the way, and I believe it's the only bottle cap I need to complete my collection. It's the one thing I want more than anything in the world, to be perfectly honest. Any chance you get us there?"
Carl's ecstatic. "Why not?" He stands up and stretches. And though he might not admit it, it's every bit a dream come true for him to have these guys begging to do the same crazy things he's always wanted to do. Next thing you know, all the guys are piling into the bathysphere that Aurora's in. This is how Aurora finds herself, heels stuck in a metal groove on the floor, suddenly piled upon by 3 guys who seem to be intent on one thing, launching the bathysphere into the water.
"Go, go, go,"
John says in a loud whisper, and Carl takes his place at the controls. 2 things cross Chip's mind in quick succession. There's a girl in here and I need to take a piss, but it's too late. Carl is pulling the door shut and sits down at the small curved metal seat and grins at Aurora. Things are happening fast and Aurora can feel the bathysphere begin to move when all of a sudden all 4 of them stop abruptly. "What do you think that was?" says Carl, pulling at the door latch. John clears his throat impatiently.
"To me, that was the unmistakable sound of a magnet hitting the exterior of a bathysphere. But no matter, let's get going."
John doesn't want to stop, but Chip says, well, take a look, man." Carl unlatches the door and sticks his arm out, feeling around the roof of the vehicle. His fingers almost instantly encounter an object that when brought back in proves to indeed be a red plastic and metal horseshoe magnet. Never alarmed by anything, even the unusual appearance of a magnet on the exterior of a bathysphere, Carl pulls the door closed and says, "You guys all set?" Then he flips the ignition switch and the bathysphere begins to lower. "What the hell?" Aurora shrieks, pulling her foot loose emphatically, but it's too late, and she can see from the small round window that they are already underwater.
It's located at the end of the harbor at exactly 10 degrees 3 minutes north and 61 degrees and 2 minutes south,
John says. Bro, I gotta drain the lizard," Chip says, bouncing his legs at an increasing rate, but no one is listening. Carl is intent on navigating the bathysphere out of the slip and into the open harbor. He feels more alive in this moment than he has all year. "Why, here," he says, tossing the magnet to Aurora, who catches it before she can tell him she's terrible at catching things. She is sure it's her imagination or adrenaline or something, but under the weight of the magnet her hands are tingling. And then, beyond all reason, her phone rings. Beyond all belief, it's her aunt's friend in Paris with the best news in the world. The apartment will be hers starting May 1st. She can't believe it. She looks up at Carl and beams. "We should just about be here," Carl announces as the bathysphere begins to reach the surface. John Smith is prepared. He always travels with a backpack with all necessary items: Ziplocs, wire, rope, pliers, emergency flares, bar soap, and super glue.
"Here, use this,"
he says, handing Carl an appropriate length of rope. "Right on," Carl grins, looping it through the magnet and tying it to the roof of the bathysphere, and in a flash of brilliance stealthily attaches the magnet to the side of the yacht.
"We'll wait here, man."
John Smith is on a mission. He is stealth-embodied, and he is barely breathing. He makes his way across the teak deck to the hatch and easily navigates through the cabin to the gleaming mahogany bar. And there it is, in all its splendor among the many bottles of 100-year-old black rum, cognac, and champagne. The end of history, squirrel and all. He removes a Ziploc, slides the whole thing in, and then he's out of there. Aurora and Carl are leaning out the top of the bathysphere when John returns. Chip is buzzed and happy as he finishes the last of the Red Bull he brought with him, but he's wondering with increasing urgency how he can take a piss without pissing anyone off when Carl says, "He's here, he's here," and John surges on board, stumbling and laughing. Then they are all moving together, talking at once, giddy and gleeful. Carl steers the bathysphere out into the open water. And they're sitting there, all four of them, under a warm starry sky, grinning in the afterglow of what they've just done when Chip says, "You gonna drink that beer, bro?"
"No way. All I want is the cap,"
John says. His hands are shaking as he removes the hermetically sealed case he's brought just for this moment. Chip grabs the bottle, and as the bathysphere gently rocks, he pops the cap off with his teeth. His hand rests absently on the magnet, and his fingers suddenly feel like they're vibrating. "Hey guys, how far do you think I can flip this bottle cap?" he says, and without thinking he flicks it between the thumb and forefinger, and the cap sails out into the dark.